Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94, back with another reaction video. Today, we finna react to Clash at the Castle 2024. Hey, man, was definitely a good show up until the end. I really don't like what they did at the end. If you know, you know. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, unless you came here to watch this video. Then you came to get spoiled. But we're gonna get right into this. Clash at the Castle 2024. Let's get it.
Clash at the Castle. So WWE's finally returned to the UK once more for Clash at the Castle. Last time around it was in Cardiff, Wales. This time they're in Glasgow, Scotland, the home of Drew McIntyre. There was some hype with this show, seeing as it's another show again outside the US. WWE's really figured out the money method, I'd say, selling out these arenas and make the show seem bigger. The problem with the US shows is usually the crowds. I feel like they're not giving it their all, and that is mostly because of the fact that the shows happen often there. Here, these guys are hungry, they're eager to always watch these shows, and it makes for good crowd reactions. Alright, with that said, let's get into it. The first match of the show is an I Quit match for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Cody Rhodes defended the title against AJ Styles. I don't need to mention it, but that crowd was crazy. Scotland's been hungry for a big show for a while now, and it showed here. Both men were shown to be more vicious and more driven to make their opponents suffer, and it was something that Rhodes had to understand, seeing as he was that super good guy. That was the big story with him trying to figure things out and push himself to the deepest, to his worst, in order to get this win. Styles didn't have a problem getting into the match, and if anything, he was benefiting a lot. Cody was bleeding and suffering, whereas the challenger found himself comfortable. He was struggling to find himself.
Yeah, that was the part that shocked me. They actually let blood happen, so I guess WWE is they're allowing blood again. Now, I'm not saying that it's a good thing. I'm not gonna say it's a bad thing. I'm just gonna say in certain matches like this, I Quit matches, Hell in a Cell matches, trying to think of other matches. Any match where you have to go to the extreme, I think those matches should include blood. This is one of those matches where it should include blood, because this is definitely a grudge match. You gotta beat your opponent so fucking bad that they have to say I quit. I think blood should definitely be involved. It can't tell a story. But as WWE has shown over the past decade, you can tell great matches without blood. But bringing blood back it enhances the story a lot. Even though it's been proven that we can have great matches without blood, but still, I'm here for it.
Some form, especially with every moment the ref puts the mic in his face. The crowd was chanting "fuck you, Styles," and he was enjoying it. There was moments where Cody got into it, but it wasn't much because AJ Styles was wrestling a style he knew very well. It suited him a lot, especially with the change in style he had as a heel, being more aggressive and vicious. He tried to break his neck, but even then it wasn't enough. The will of the crowd was holding the champion and keeping him into it. He was refusing to quit, but his body though was a different story. He couldn't really keep up, and Styles was insistent that he was out, knowing that maybe, just maybe, the title was coming. AJ slowed down the match, handcuffed him, and even threatened his mom, but Cody managed to fight back and get into the match to uncuff himself and inflict some damage. This was the beginning of the end for AJ Styles. He just never got back into it and only made the champion look insane. He tried to save himself, but once he was handcuffed, it was over. He was done, and Cody Rhodes managed to make him say I quit, only for the champion to still drop him with the steel steps after the match. This was great. I think both men have incredible chemistry together. It kind of make me want to see a third match, but it's almost impossible with the way they did this one. Maybe they could do a ladder match, but AJ Styles quit. There's no real reason for them to do a third match. Cody has been in form at the right and most importantly, best time. Regardless of what happens later on, this title reign will definitely be a memorable one, and for all the good reasons. Very enjoyable stuff, you know. Cody's been putting it down ever since he won the title at WrestleMania, and it's one of the first title reigns in a while that I've seen where the champion wins the title at WrestleMania and doesn't feel like an afterthought a couple of months afterwards. He's actually shown up and made good on the title reign, so it's good to see. It really is. Then after the match, Solo Sikoa came in teasing what's to come. They attacked Cody, the new bloodline, or budget bloodline, let's call them, because they're a joke, let's be honest. Then KO and Randy Orton came out. Orton had a slight glance at the title by the looks of it, teasing what's to come, and there it is. So they got two options. They're either going to go with Cody and Solo, which God forbid happens. I personally don't want to see that, nor do I care. I personally do not want to see that at all. I don't care for a Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa match. That sounds diabolical in itself. Or option number two, which is a 6-man tag team match, which really does make sense. They could do that as a stopgap for the title reign. We'll see But I don't want to see a Solo Sikoa title match. I just don't. Okay, the next match is a triple threat tag team match for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair defended the title.
I was upset about this because I didn't like the fact that they took the titles off my black sisters right here, my beautiful black sisters. I don't like the fact that they took the title off of them, but there was a backstory behind this, so I understand why they did it now. So I'm not as mad as I was before. I'm still a little bit upset, but it's like, alright, because you just put the titles on them. You just put the titles on them. So why are we taking them away from them? But like I said, there's a backstory behind this, so I understand now.
Against Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, and Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. The first part of the match highlighted Cargill's strength as a super athlete. The others should have overwhelmed her, but it turned out to be the opposite for them. It really felt like the champions were miles ahead of the others in status and in star power. They really felt unstoppable here. Baszler and Stark had to increase the intensity to find an opportunity in this match. Separating the champions worked well, but again, when Cargill came in, that changed. She messed up the springboard, but flowed back into the sequence. They got back together, and it seemed like the end when Isla Dawn hit Cargill with a German suplex before pinning Baszler herself to win the titles. Huge moment. Isla Dawn and
Black Queens forever, Snow Bunnies never. I said Black Queens forever, Snow Bunnies never. I said Black Queens forever, Snow Bunnies never.
I'm not gonna say it was bad. There's some nice moments here and there, but it wasn't all that. But it was nice to see the country woman win it for once. It did come across as a shocker, and who knows, maybe they might lose the titles later this week on SmackDown, who knows. But decent stuff. The next match is for the Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn defended the title against Chad Gable. This story's been on for about 2 months. Gable's become more desperate and more aggressive to win the title, and he doesn't have an Alpha Academy as the best supporters of his, but they're still by his side. Pure wrestling in the beginning with these two. Gable had the edge a bit, especially because of his experience and his intensity. The match got going, and it seemed to benefit the challenger more, but he had a lot of interest in bringing in his guys to make the win cheaper. He held his own against Zayn, but he was still in it. The champion was resilient, the match was great, there was no problems with it, it felt very tight and rigged, then the drama happened. Gable's pressing Otis, and it got to the point where he got Maxine in harm's way again and hurt her. Otis had enough, Zayn took advantage and retained the title. The story is that Gable still can't get one over Sami Zayn when it matters most. He didn't show up. He bottled it, he messed up. Now, personal opinion, I think they should have had him winning here. It kind of becomes too much when they constantly tease something. It starts to mean less. Like, Gable will probably...
Yeah, this was the best time to do it. Chad Gable is in peak form right now. He is in peak fucking form right now. Giving him the title with his character right now, they should have just pulled the trigger. I don't know why they're holding back, unless they're going to give him a Money in the Bank shot. Unless he's getting the Money in the Bank shot, I don't see why you don't give him the Intercontinental title. That's just me though.
Win the title in the future, but I don't think there was a better moment than here. His Alpha Academy storyline became the main focus, and at time I personally think it shouldn't have. Zayn's had a great title reign though, and by the looks of it, he's off to the next challenger. However, there is one way to do it, which is most likely going to happen. The Creed brothers as Gable's proteges. He could take out the Alpha Academy, replace them. They got Ivy Nile. They got the Creed brothers themselves. You know, they could replace everyone. Much stronger, much more focused. That way he could win the title, but it really makes you wonder, like, why do we got to go through all of this to get to that very point? You know, because I think they dragged the story a bit. It's been about 3 months with Chad Gable. Well, actually 4 months, technically, with Chad Gable chasing the IC title. I personally think if they're going to do the Creed Brothers thing, they got to do it ASAP. You know, that really makes sense if they do it ASAP. But again, this match is a great example as to why I think sometimes WWE misses the mark. Stuff is simple, you know, sometimes they could have a great moment here, but they decide to drag it out. Alright, the next match is for the WWE Women's Championship. Bayley defended the title against Piper Niven. This was hyped up a lot throughout the week. Not because of the match itself, but what it meant for Piper. The fans were hyped to see her, but we all knew that this would be a normal title defense for Bayley. The match was better than I thought though. Piper put up a fight and had a great performance, with the match kicked up a notch when Chelsea Green was ejected. Chelsea Green interfered once again later on. Bayley drops her. This is when the match got better. Back and forth action, near falls, but in the end, Bayley stole a win and retained the title. Piper Niven had a good performance. I liked her here. She doesn't really get to show out at the top of the card, so nice to see her make good on her homecoming. That was good. Like, I'm sure she got to enjoy the fact that even though she lost, she got to have a good match in front of her home country.
It was a solid match. It was a solid match. I liked it. It was solid. It got to the point, you know what I'm saying? Bayley can move on to Nia Jax now, so she can drop it to Nia pretty much at this point. No, I think that's going to be at SummerSlam, because I think the next pay-per-view is Money in the Bank. Yeah, the next pay-per-view is Money in the Bank.
It's nice. And the main event, Damian Priest defends the World Heavyweight Championship against Drew McIntyre. Drew has returned home. This was an incredible moment to see him back here in Scotland. The crowd...
See, WWE just pulled the trigger. Triple H, just pull the trigger, brother. Just pull the trigger and let that thing loose, man. Just give Drew the damn title, man. Why do y'all keep teasing us with this? I know y'all want to do CM Punk versus Drew, but dude, just give him the title. Jesus Christ.
Crowd went wild. 10 years ago, he was released from WWE, and now he's back in the main event. Drew has worked hard to get to this moment. You know, it was amazing to see him come back to WWE, work on himself, improve all around, win that title. But even then, it felt like he still hasn't had that moment as champion. Like, he was WWE champion 4 years ago and actually had a good run, but it feels like he wasn't champion because of when it happened. With that said, this match was pretty good. It was much better than I thought. Priest was coming into enemy territory as well, and the crowd made sure to let him know. I wasn't really hyped for the match, but more so for Drew McIntyre, you know. I thought this was a moment where he was probably going to win the title, but some stuff happened. Action was good. A lot of great near falls. Drew catching McPriest with the Claymore off guard was a nice moment. It was very good. Priest got injured during the match. His leg got caught on the ropes. And despite this, he put on a good-ass performance. He actually overperformed despite that injury. It was one of the best matches of his entire career, which is nice to see, especially because people are calling him a transitional champion and whatnot. And he is. He's a transitional champion. We're not going to lie about that. It's obvious as day. But he's putting on good matches in the process. Drew McIntyre, though, it felt like it was his match. You know, it was his match to win. And right when he got the job done by the looks of it, the referee comes in. He counts 1, 2. I'm thinking, who the hell is this? I thought it was JD McDonough. I don't know why I thought it was JD McDonough. Turns out it was freaking CM Punk. The way they did it was so impressive. It was so nice. And the reason why I liked it so much is because it was surprising how they did it. Like, I personally believed CM Punk was coming out. They leaked it on Twitter this week, yesterday, today, whatever. They leaked the fact that CM Punk was coming. We all knew that. However, the way they did it with the referee coming in, I really liked it. It really felt like a moment from the Attitude Era. It impressed me a lot. I liked it. He cost Drew that title, low blowed him, which led to Priest retaining the title. So there's that. Again, I really thought Drew should have won here. I really thought that even though CM Punk came in, he was unable to ruin his moment. I think that would have been very nice. I would have liked that a lot. But that didn't happen here. Turns out, Drew McIntyre's got to deal with some other stuff. He's got to deal with CM Punk, which leaves Damian Priest open to defend his title against somebody else. Perhaps somebody in the Judgment Day. Finn Balor, perhaps. This is a logical direction. Obviously, the fact that Drew lost, I personally didn't like it that much, obviously. But it does make sense for the feud with CM Punk to be as intense as it is. If he won here, it would have been bragging and whatever. But with CM Punk getting one over him and whatnot, it makes the feud a little more interesting. I do think he should have won here, though. You know, it's kind of contradictory. I do think he should have won here. With that said, Damian Priest, his title reign has been going on in a weird way. He ain't an amazing champion, but he isn't horrible, obviously. We'll see. But this was a good match. It was much better than I thought it was. It was much better than I thought it was going to be, so yeah. Alright, that's Clash at the Castle. Good event once more. Good event. Weird booking decisions. I do think Chad Gable should have won. Drew. Stuff was weird, but it wasn't a bad event at all. It was very enjoyable. It wasn't Backlash like last month. Backlash was way better. That was a good-ass event. But it was nice, you know? It was a nice... It shows the progress that WWE made in the last year. The way they're...
Yeah. So... I'm just still mad that my Black Sisters is the only one that lost their title. Everybody else got to retain their title, but my Black Sisters lose their title. I WWE, I Triple H, man. I'm just saying though.
Black queens forever, snow bunnies never. I said black queens forever, snow bunnies never.
Like I said, there is a reason why they gave the titles to these two. I understand the backstory behind it now that I know what I know. So I'm not gonna be mad about it. I say they okay. Win them in your hometown, but when we get back to the United States, my Black Sisters gonna need their titles back. I'm just saying, it don't make no sense to put the titles on these two, who can pretty much carry these championships and really makes up that, because the women's tag team championships have been lackluster, if that's what you want to say. They've been very lackluster. So if you are, I'm just saying though, but if you put them on the right type of people, they can make that shit work. Like when they first were introduced, I think Sasha Banks and Bailey had those championships, and they were great with those belts. Then those belts started playing hot potato with all type of weird different stables and associations. Now it gets to these two, and it's like, okay, you got two superstars, let's make it happen. And once again, we're playing hot potato with these championships. When are we gonna? There's been no prestige to these championships. That's my biggest issue right now. There's been no prestige to these championships. You have to put them on somebody and make these championships worth something, worth a damn. I felt like these two were gonna do it, but I understand the story. But I think you should put it right back on these two and let them run with it. Let them have a dominant run with the belts. Nobody can beat these two. They're unstoppable. That's how I feel this should be. But I digress.
They're going international, stuff like that. But man, they gotta add one more match to the card. I know 5 matches makes it seem important. It's UFC-esque with the pay-per-views and how they do 5 matches and all that, but they gotta add more matches. Just one more match would be enough for me. The reason why I say that is because you're watching an opener, and a couple of minutes later, it seems like the main event's coming up. But yeah, good event. I don't really have many problems with it. I personally don't have much problems with it. Do think Drew should have won, but it isn't a big problem. So yeah. Alright, what do you guys think of Clash at the Castle? Please comment down below, and that's the first video. Make sure you...
It was solid. It was solid. I give Clash of the Castle, I give it a B plus at best. Not a great not a great pay-per-view, but not a bad one. Shout out to Scotland. Scotland was definitely lit, especially during the Drew match. The Drew match, Scotland got lit. I mean, don't get me wrong, they was doing good throughout the whole shebang, but when the Drew match came out, oh, they got super loud. They was lit. They was it. Oh man, that was the ending just ruined the match. The aura of the match was great until the ending. But that's just me though. But anyway, so that's just gonna about do it for this one. I will see you all in the next video. Till then, peace out.